Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Randy King from King Electric Guitars, and with me today I have my good friend Ryan, aka Jimmy Ether. Ryan is normally behind the camera on most of the videos we've done in the past, but today he's not only the on-air talent, but he's also running the whole show. So we're gonna go over some of the guitars I built for Ryan over the last, I guess it would be a year and a half now, 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years. Ryan was customer number 2.
Was that?
Yeah, you were customer number 2. I built stuff for myself, and then my first actual Taurus shape that I built was one for me, and then one went to France to my good friend Chris, and then this was guitar build number 5, I think.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I've always played, well, for the last 20 years I've played Jazz Masters. And, and I love Jazz Masters, but there are some limitations to them electronically and some things I like about like a Tele. But Teles just look like ukuleles on me because I'm a big guy, kind of like Randy.
Yeah.
So I wanted Randy to build, I always wanted what you would call a Telemaster. And except this one, we even went a little weirder with it and put a Gretsch pickup in the neck. So
Filtertron Ray Butts, I believe.
Yeah,
was
Ray
the
Butts.
original Ray Butts.
The old microphonic one.
Yeah, the one that makes all the noise.
All the screaming noise.
Yeah. So this was one of those projects where Ryan had a neck from EGC, and we built the guitar around the neck and what pickup choices we were going to make. So this was a very fun project. We call this guitar the Ether Master. Ryan tunes to, I don't know. He sends me sheets that tells me how to tune his guitars.
Well, so yeah, I should talk about that a little bit, I guess. So one of the problems with a Tele, at least a classic Tele, is you've got the 3. I wouldn't say it's a problem, but a problem for what I'm trying to do is you got the 3 saddles. You got 2 string share in a saddle. And when it comes to alternate tunings, there's a couple of issues with that. It's almost impossible to get it intonated, and then it doesn't even go back far enough half the time. Because most of the Teles, as you've said, have been set a little too close.
I really believe that most Tele bridges are about 1/8 of an inch too far ahead. So I like to set mine back, and this was learning from this guitar.
Yeah.
This guitar, we took the tuning. What is your actual tuning, Ryan?
It goes D, E, B, F sharp, C sharp, A. Which is a weird tuning. So it allows you to play all your typical shapes, but it's like, you get kind of like these suspended, kind of augmented, diminished tones or whatever, And then you can still do, I do a lot of basically like octave chords or like doubled things to get heavier tones. So able to get like that chorusy kind of sound.
Yes.
And it's just impossible to get that. Like I use this tuning on a Strat and barely got it intonated.
Yeah.
And it just was always going out and just always flopping around. Did it on a Jazz Master. Did it on a few things. And I just wanted Randy to build something that, could handle it. We set it back, like you said, but we set it back further than we needed to, really. This thing will intonate down to a B.
Yeah, this thing will intonate. And that was one of the things, like, my thing is, I want to build cool guitars. I want to build something that looks cool, obviously. Looks are cool, but I'm ultimately trying to build a solution for whoever it happens to be's problem. Yeah. This one, the opportunity to make a change was in the tuning. Yeah. And so we did a lot of kind of messing around with figuring out where that scale length needed to be. And I think on this one, I moved it back somewhere just shy of 1/8. And I could have went a little less than that. Yeah. But that means, retooling the whole thing. It's not just, here's my Tele template and now I mark this. No, it was retooling and remarking everything. So this guitar, I basically had to build a set of templates to make it. I always build templates first when I'm doing the very first thing. So it was all templated out, and we figured out where everything went. And then it was a matter of getting it all together. And then there was the looks of it. Ryan wanted something. He wanted originally we talked about it. You got an aluminum neck. We got to go with kind of a 70s vibe.
Right, the Kramer.
That Kramer vibe. And they always had the maple and some kind of stripe or something. So we kind of went the opposite.
Stripes.
And this guitar, again, this was built, this is kind of form meets function. With an aluminum neck that weighs probably 8 pounds itself, you can't build a body out of basswood or your normal stuff. So this is actually a Sapele body, which we made super heavy so the neck wouldn't just dive. Right. And then the stripes were just us walking around my wood supplier going, ooh, this would look cool. And Ryan picked up some zebra wood. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's cool, and turned it on its side. And then that was when it really became what it became.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it really good. But, I mean, and the Sapele kind of has the stripes in it naturally, too.
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, we were going sort of a combination of Kramer and Travis Bean kind of vibe, but with a, Jazzmaster body and a Tele pickup with my weird tuning. And that's, that's like a big ask. And, it worked out. And so this has got a very aggressive, this can have a very almost like Steve Albini aggressive, kind of chime to it, or wire, or if you think of, bands that play those kind of guitars, Television and things like that. So that's kind of what I was going for. But that's just the Tele pickup with the tone dialed back even. So like it gets pretty bright. So usually I have it about halfway. So kind of jangly, when you play it clean and you put a little dirt through there and it'll sizzle up pretty easy. Yeah,
and we definitely played with capacitor values and stuff with this guitar. What did we end up
landing on the same thing we land on every
22
single guitar is .22. Yeah.
Somehow or another, .022 seems to work for everything I build. I don't know why, but it seems to be the magic cap.
I think on one of the guitars we went with a different one, but all the other ones are .022. It depends on the pickups, but
we that was another thing. We definitely wanted to kind of play around with different values. I don't care what the book tells me I should put in there. What caps are we going to use? What kind of what volume pots are we going to use? That kind of thing is kind of experimenting was the whole thing behind this guitar.
Yeah.
And
combining the Gretsch pickup with the single coil too is interesting because you get almost Stratty kind of hollow sort of tones, and you can add a little more treble. And that's, I guess, the other thing we should mention, which would be true of all the guitars that you build for me, is that we don't have any tone on the neck pickup. I feel like that's, it's pointless to have a tone on the neck pickup. You're never going to dial it darker than it naturally is. So I kind of like it having it full brightness and then being able to use the tone on the bridge to kind of dial in what I need.
I've noticed a little more open tone out of the neck with just getting rid of.
So just not straight up neck with just kind of the volume almost all the way up.
For me, on a personal note, this was the first guitar I built that I actually watched somebody play, which was very, very cool. It was neat to watch something that I still, when I'm building, I still remember them as a chunk of wood, you know. Remember the very first cut I made on it, and now all of a sudden to have somebody playing in a live situation with a band using an instrument you made, it really kind of hit home. Like, hey, this is happening, because again, Ryan was customer number 2.
Right.
You know, I'm going on 2 years into this. My business has only been a business for 2 years, and since then I've built several more guitars, and I've built several more for Ryan, and working on the number 4 for you now. Yeah,
4 and 5, I guess.
Yeah, 4 and 5, depending on.
I've gone a little crazy. Like I started with, I just need one guitar, and then So I mean, I guess we should play a little bit on this one, and then show the next guitar.
Sure. Yeah.
Like where this we went from this, which is obviously a copy of a unnamed company. Yeah. That one off that he's probably not going to do again, I would imagine.
No, I'm not.
You're in your own bodies now.
Right. At the time, I had really not fleshed out my own shapes. So this one was, kind of a one-off thing. And I still do custom guitars from time to time, like a full custom build like this, but I'm really just trying to get a line of 3 models that I'm doing now, fleshed out. So that's where Ryan has been good to me, as coming in and letting me build the next model for him, and going from there. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it's been a cool collaboration. So now we got, Alice.
This is guitar number 2 in the series of builds I've done for Ryan here. We name all the guitars. First guitar that we showed you was the Ethermaster, Jimmy Ethermaster. This is Alice, as you can tell if Ryan shows the front off a little bit, you'll notice it. Whole guitar was built around some Alice in, I almost said Alice in Chains fabric.
Alice in Chains.
That would be weird. No, some Alice in Wonderland fabric, and we were like, yeah, cool, let's roll this. So this is what I like to call my Taurus shape. This is a T-style shape that it's a little more slender in the waist, a little kickback in the butt down there a little bit. It's got a little jacked up vibe to it.
Yeah, you got
it's a little longer here, blah, blah, blah. There's little changes here.
It's like an offset telly.
Yeah, it's a slightly offset telly. It's the 79 Camaro with the ass end in the air is what it really is.
And I always have a problem, like you, with tellies, that they look like tiny little guitars on me.
Yeah.
So I never felt comfortable playing them. I mean, they're worse than Strats, and Strats are bad enough on me.
So Ryan and I would never be considered an average size man. Ryan is pushing 6'5", I'm pushing 6'3". There's certain guitars I've always wanted a Les Paul Jr. Well, I built myself one, and it looks like I'm playing a ukulele. So I try to kind of scale up stuff. Everybody wants to look like Angus Young when they throw the guitar on, but unless I'm playing something huge, like a big giant Gretsch, I'm not going to look like Angus Young. So
Firebird.
Yeah, Firebird or something like that. So that's where I try to scale and make some changes and make some things look different. Number 1 is because I refuse to make copies. Number 2 is because I see things differently. I see the lines differently, and I know that T-styles are extremely popular, but I refuse to make copies of them. So this is I think the 5th or 6th Taurus that I've ever made. And this one happened to be for Ryan.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a bit of a story behind it too. I mean, so one of the things that I have several tunings. I showed you the last tuning that I made up, the ether tuning or whatever. But I started using. I wanted to go back to more of a standard tuning, but I didn't want to do E standard, so I started playing around with C standard because I like these low tones, and fell in love with it. Was playing that on a Jazz Master, which handled it pretty well. you know, with like especially with like flat bond strings. But thought, man, it'd be awesome to have a classic telly with like, you know, the classic three saddles, and that actually intonates down to a C standard. I don't think I've ever seen that. There probably exist, but I've never seen anyone really able to do that, because you'd be so set back against the bridge. There's no way you could get it to work. Especially since I play a lot of open strings and then up high at the same time. So like that, trying to pull that off on a regular telly with this kind of tuning is just not going to happen.
Yeah. So if the intonation's not there, then it's going to sound horrible. Yeah.
But the story behind the fabric, I'm a Lewis Carroll fan, especially of this one particular book he wrote about logic, and so that's kind of where the fabric came from, and the whole Alice idea, which Randy thought I was a little weird at first for bringing that out, you know, wanting to have that, but yeah, no, I mean it's great. This is I love all the guitars you built for me, but you know, I love all my guitars. Honestly, I've got like a nice Duesenberg too, but this is my favorite guitar right now. Like it's just, when I sit down, it automatically writes songs. Like it's crazy, and it just has the greatest tone. It's the one that people, when we play live, they ask the most about. You know, it's kind of the flashiest, I guess, too, in a way. Maybe that's why. But
yeah.
Got nice, like the wood on the neck is kind of
nice flamed roasted maple neck and fretboard. The dots on this one, I believe, are
Wingate, I think?
No, I think this is ebony.
Oh, is it?
I had some ebony that I made the dots out of this one. I make all my dots and stuff by hand. I don't believe in. I try not to put plastic in a guitar unless, you know, maybe the side dots, and some of the times I make those as well. But yeah, the dots on it are actually ebony. And then this was one of those situations where this would be the first neck I made for Ryan. So I wanted to make sure he was right with it. So at one point he had the neck in his hand with some 220 grit sandpaper stuck to his hand and was literally sanding like this.
Yeah.
And
which clearly you can't do for everybody unless you're local. But I mean, that's, like this neck, just, it fits my hand like a glove. Both of the next guitar we show you too, we did the same thing, and it's just amazing how well it feels. It's just real natural.
Yeah, and I try not. Most of my necks, I don't put finish on them, especially if it's a flame maple neck like this. That's just, I think, 6 coats of True Oil.
True Oil.
And that's it. I'll put some finish on the headstock just so my label, you know, my logo pops and stuff like that. But other than that, it's True Oil. Yeah. So.
I mean, like it can be beefy on that low end with it. That's clean, pretty much straight into the amp, and not even at full volume. So full volume would be. Add a little distortion to that. I mean, it's a pretty guitar. It's an unassuming guitar. You don't think the sound's gonna come out of it.
It's a sleeper, yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's cute. Like, what do you got there? Just like it'll do like crazy lows, but what I really love about it is just, like I said, pedaling off of like a drone note or something. You can just do these beautiful like. It just kind of combines. I have this love of Creedence Clearwater Revival and I don't know, like Chris Cornell Soundgarden-y kind of stuff that I kind of will blend together, and it does both. It's great.
I think that one of the things about this whole experience has been what's right for you is not right for, I worked in a shop for a long time, and it was what was right for the shop, get it out the door. Not that we did anything wrong, but setups and everything is so different for everybody, and how you use this guitar as a tool is going to be different than how the next guy. So I was building this guitar for you, so I built you the tool that you wanted to the T.
Yeah.
To the T. Yeah.
These are Lawler pickups.
Yeah, Lawler pickups.
In there, which are great. But it's vintage Tele, like 50s wound kind of. This is as stock a Tele as like you.
Other than the secret weapon that we have recently found over the last, 6 months or so, which is this really cool freeway switch, which is a 6-way switch that fits in a Tele, and you don't have to do all kind of crazy extra holes and blah blah blah.
Right. So even the last Ethermaster, we didn't show that off, but all of the guitars now have this freeway switch in them. And it works great with single coils. It gives you options of like in series and parallel, kind of where you can get almost like this weird humbucking and stratty tones and whatever you kind of want. But man, you've done some stuff with humbuckers and split coils that are. I don't love split coils, but those sound amazing.
Yeah, I have a Taurus that I built, and you can find it on some more of my videos. It's called the Fairmont Imperial. It's a lowrider style that I did crazy, but I used some pickups in it that are PAF split coils, and with that 6-way switch in that, it does so many cool things, and there's not a tone on that guitar that's not usable, and it's not hard to dial in. Like it's a matter of, hey, I want to play a little something that's kind of clean on the neck. I click it up, and when I need to get more of the neck, I just click that button back down, and now it's full neck. And there's so many other things it does too. In the center positions, it has two positions. So it's a really cool tool that, again, it cost me bottom dollar. It cost me a couple more bucks, but I'm not trying to get ridiculously rich. I'm not trying to screw everybody. I want to give you the tool that you want.
Yeah, it's art.
Yeah, exactly. It's
craftsmanship. It's art. That's what
years of playing gigs and playing substandard stuff, and then when I finally got enough money to buy myself a nice Les Paul and stuff like that, all that stuff was great, but it still wasn't exactly what I wanted. And now that I can create exactly what I want and go out and play, hopefully one day again, start playing shows, and that'll have. Play my own gear that is exactly what I want. I can't imagine how much more comfortable I will be on stage knowing that I have like an extension of my body on me instead of something that's just going to do the job.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the freeway switch really helps a lot as far as like going from guitar to guitar and song to song. With my setup, we play very loud. Like I'm bi-amp. We are just not Kempler kind of folks, or what is it called? It's
Kemper.
sorry. I don't even know how to say it.
Sorry, guys.
Helix, whatever. Nothing wrong with those things. I just, it's not my thing. And we have a drummer who's in both of my bands, Victory Hands and Loud Humans, we have a drummer who plays very dynamic. He doesn't always play loud, but when he's loud, he's ear-splittingly loud, and we have to keep up with him. So, the point being, like, having that facility to be able to play that wiry kind of Tele sound, and you got your typical kind of like funky kind of Tele sounds in between, and your neck pickup. But then you get into these like humbucking things, and like this one, for like a really like nasally or gives you a lot of like tonal things that, especially when you're going to different pedals and different parts of the song, you can just do a lot with the controls from the guitar.
Yeah,
it's great.
I also come from the years of playing that I did. It was crank everything to 10, don't touch anything. When it came time to solo, you flicked up to the neck pickup, you stepped on a wah, you did. I never really got into using my volume, my tones and stuff until recently. And I also was never much of I was always I will say, a LP style guy. And then I got a nice Tele, and then I started kind of making T-style guitars and really getting to understand how freaking genius they really are. So, I like on this guitar, if you notice the whole thing is turned around, a lot of times I'll actually turn the switch plate around so you have your volumes closer to you, and I use an angled switch plate so you can still reach that.
Right.
So it's still comfortable, but you can still use your volume, and it's right there at your pinky like it would be on, say, a Strat. So
yeah, I was always hitting on a regular Tele. I was always hitting. I have the same problem with Strats too. I'm always hitting the slider,
And actually on this guitar, as I designed my Taurus, I actually moved that whole thing back.
Yeah.
Because
Which is interesting because it puts you right where it's very accessible.
Yeah.
Right where I'm muting.
Well, that's kind of what I did. I sat there with my templates and went, all right, if I'm muting here, where am I going to be able to reach that? Where is it going to be out of the way but close enough? That kind of thing. So
yeah.
Again, it's all about a solution to a problem that some people may not have a problem and other people may. So that's kind of what I'm going after.
I love this guitar though.
This guitar is we made this guitar. The body is black limba. And then, of course, I put the top.
Yeah, and that is one of the things. This guitar is
so light.
The polar opposite of the Ethermaster in that, it is. You go literally in the set. I'll go from that guitar to this guitar, and it's just do I have a guitar?
Right. Yeah. The Ethermaster's got to be twice as heavy as that, at least.
We end the set. Usually with this guitar, and it feels like I'm floating by it. It was perfect timing because, you're just about to die. Especially playing outside or something.
Yeah. And then on this one, we did a finish-wise, as far as the back. This is, it's a beautiful piece of black limba, and then I sprayed blue candy over it to kind of go with the top that's blue. But it ended up turning out to be this really cool green, and
yeah, there's a little bit of green in the fabric too.
Yeah, there's a little green. Perfect. So it turned out really, really cool.
Yeah, it was blue against, I guess, the yellow of the limba kind of made it really green.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where, let's just see what happens. And so far, it's happened, and it's all turned out really cool. And
And I didn't love the idea at first of this reverse headstock.
Oh yeah.
And now that's the only thing I will have him do.
Yeah.
I love it. It just looks great.
So on this guitar, I went with my Taurus. I'm trying to figure out how to keep some of my things they're more of a standard thing. So I decided, yes, I can build the neck faster by doing the fender and making a flat slab neck, and I can actually do it cheaper. But I don't like the look of string trees.
Right.
And also, I want my truss rod adjustment. I'm not reaching over because it's going to look really strange. But I want my truss rod adjustment right here. It's in the 22nd fret.
Yeah, it's great.
Right? So you reach in, you turn it. It's buried. You don't see it.
And I'll tell you from personal experience, I always tweak my intonation further as I'm figuring stuff out. Stick that thing, that little pole you gave me that goes into the sprocket there, and just play and the tiniest little adjustment. And I'm it fit. I had an intonation issue on when I was playing up here a little bit for a couple of days, and then I finally figured out, oh, it's the neck, and I just tweaked it just a touch, and man, it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was
so I use two-way truss rods on everything.
It would be tough to do that.
Right.
Anywhere, certainly.
Well, you
gotta take the neck.
I want to make all the necks basically the same. So I use an 8-degree headstock tilt, just 8 degrees. I use staggered tuners, hip shot tuners. I love the hip shot tuners. These are all the open gears, so it's hard to see, but you can actually see the gear inside of there, and they're locking. So I'm trying to make everything basically be the same across the board as far as how I'm making my necks. So now I make everything with an angled hip back headstock, everything with the adjustment in the actual fretboard itself, and then that's where we're going from there.
Yeah, it has enough back tilt or whatever you need, but it doesn't hit. It's not going to break. It's not going to.
Well, if you were to drop the guitar on the ground, the headstock will never touch.
Right. Like it doesn't even hit the tuners.
Right. It doesn't hit the tuners. Like there's enough. So not that it needs it, because it also doesn't have the weak spot that some guitars, we won't mention the name, but the ones that just kind of snap off when you look at them wrong.
And you have this crazy volute.
And I have the volute that some guitars don't put on there anymore.
Which is fun, because like a lot of times, you know, you're jumping around on stage or whatever, and you know, your hand falls right into the C position.
And I make that's the anchor, in my opinion. That's
feels great.
You know, that's home base at all times. As soon as you feel the meat of your hand touch it, you know exactly where you're at, and so you're anchored. That's kind of my thing. So yeah, this was guitar number 2, and this thing turned out really, really cool.
Good.
And then we moved on to the third guitar. This is guitar number 3 of the series. This is the guitar that I call my model that I call the Futura. This guitar is my kind of take on a single cut with a bunch of other stuff mixed in. You can see a bunch of different things here. There's a certain guitar that's made by a company that I'm not going to mention because they're sue happy. But it's got a raised center section, and it's got it's 25-inch scale, and it's got tilt back headstock, and can you flip it, Ryan?
Yeah, flip it.
It's built like a set neck, but it's actually screwed in or bolted.
Right, so the neck goes around.
The neck goes under the pickup, all the way under the pickup. I actually use machine screws and inserts on everything I build. I don't use wood screws on any of the neck joints whatsoever. So this thing is super easy to do a lot of different setups to, and do whatever you may need to do it if you need to. But if you got to do something to the neck, or if you got to 20 years from now, if you got to refret it or whatever, working in a shop as long as I did, it's so much easier to do something when the neck's off the guitar. So it kind of designed it around that. And this guitar is made out of, I make these out of Spanish cedar, so they're super light. This one is Spanish cedar, mahogany, and a maple neck, 5-piece neck.
Which adds a little weight to it.
It adds a little weight to this one, and this one has a wraparound style tailpiece. That's the Hip Shop Baby Grand.
Yeah, which is neat because it can be set back down far, which I have it. This is a open C tuning. So this one we move back some, but then we also use a tailpiece that can be moved back more. Mm-hmm. So it can be intonated to all kind of crazy things. This is probably the most all-around rock guitar.
That was kind of its job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was the whole purpose of what I designed.
Well, the purpose of this was to be a rock guitar, but my purpose for getting it from you was definitely to replace the Jazzmaster. Yeah. And the key part of that being I use Jazzmasters unlike anyone else I know for whatever reason. Most everyone hates the rhythm channel. Mm-hmm. I turn the rhythm channel all the way up, and that is my loud. Yeah. And then, especially with fuzz and stuff like that, it works great. And then I'll dial the tone off a little bit because Jazzmasters are super bright, but they're also kind of bassy too. So they have this weird scoop to them. And I'll turn the volume down just a little bit, like to 9, and that's my loud switch, like I said. So I needed something that would do that. And this is perfect setup because these are actually P90s. Mm-hmm. What do they call them? Squeaky clean. Yeah,
this is bootstrap, squeaky clean P90s, but they're in a humbucker size.
Right, so you could put humbuckers in this guitar without having to do much routing or any routing or anything. But so I need to be able to just switch this switch up. Mm-hmm. Really easy to go to my loud setting, and it's worked great for that.
Did a lot of crazy switching and work on that, electronics.
I had a crazy, I mean, like, so this is actually the neck pickup back here because I just leave it on full, like I was saying with the Jazzmaster. And I want to be able to have access, you know, kind of around my mute area with my pinky to hit the volume and tone on this. And it works great. The switch is right there. I can hit the switch with my pinky. I've kind of gotten used to, like, you know, being able to. Really easy to go back and forth, and it's, you know, it's pretty close to the tone of the Jazzmaster, but it's got that P90 bite in it. So I mean, it's got a lot of the feel, and the body feels good. You know, it's not too small, and
no neck dive on this guitar. The way I designed the guitar. This guitar was actually designed around a car that my dad owned when I was a kid called a Falcon Futura. This, again, I'm not going to reach because I ain't trying to look weird. This part here is the tail light of a Falcon Futura. It's the over the tail light where the fender came. The overall feel of the guitar is a very light, natural feeling guitar that doesn't have a lot of neck dive. It's a little under 1 3/4 inches. I think it's 1.675. So it's a little thinner than your standard like LP style guitar. And again, I'm trying to create models that are platforms, because I can then take this platform and Ryan says, I want this model platform, and then we're gonna build the actual instrument around that. But we can do so much within that platform, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do with every model that I come up with. So,
like I said, this is the rock guitar. It's just got bite to it. Just doesn't take much. A little low gain, and it's already like. And you know, it's made for open C tuning too, you know. It intonates down to it fine. Everything sounds good.
Yeah. So yeah, this one was cool, and then you know, I can't wait to get some more of these out. I've built. I'm building the third one of these right now, which will be my guitar, but it's basically to be able to show off and, you know, let people get their hands on it. And then, you know, I'm starting another model at this point. So
yeah, which I guess we can show off in a second here.
Yeah,
like
cool.
you'll see, you know, the construction.
Yeah, it's extremely rough, but you'll get an idea of what it's going to look like, and you'll get an idea of what I'm after with this whole guitar. And actually, Ryan helped a lot on this one. It was kind of a discussion between him and I, and we'll talk about that. Yeah, we kind of collaborated, but I'll let him show you some more of the Futura here.
Yeah, so like with this one though, this has got a freeway switch too. This toggle switch is also a freeway switch. Mm-hmm. Not as many options. Well, it's the same amount of options, I guess, as with the Tele.
Yeah.
But like if you did split coil in this, you've got like 6 different, you know, configurations. So like the 2 pickups together in 2 different variations. Again, that scooped sort of fluty sound. Well, or more of a trebly sound, or and what I love about it is, like, of all my guitars, this is probably the most useful neck pickup. I use the neck pickup on this guitar as much or more than I did my Jazzmasters. Probably more, I would say.
That's
I'm
cool.
just kind of figuring out like how to do that and how to combine it with, like, it works really well with a treble booster. I don't know how well it'll sound with this particular amp setup, but like that's full on neck. It just has a little bite to it. How much of that low end kind of can turn into a growl, which sounds way different on variation, but they're all like kind of in the same range. It's just like whether you want a little more fluty, a little more growl, a little more bright, kind of like.
Yeah, the P90s are.
I love them.
And those P90s especially, and guys from Bootstrap, I love your pickups. I really do. You know, I've used them in probably at least 12 of the guitars I've built so far, and I've never been, you know, never felt like I need to upgrade these. They just, to me, sound great. But I have noticed that the neck P90, this being the humbucker size or even the standard size, and I'm using the squeaky cleans. I'm not trying to do a bunch of like overwound stuff.
High gain,
It's just got a great tone. Again, they just have great tones, and P90s have become my thing. I was a humbucker guy. I was an LP guy. I was, you know, Marshall on 10 guy, and I still am. But now I was worried that, a P90 is a single coil. So I was worried that I would lose some of the, ass is the best way I can say it.
Yeah, no, P90s definitely have the low end.
They do not. So,
but it's not like bloated.
Right. It's not farty. It's not bloated. You don't lose any of the growl or the grit. I mean, if you really listen to Mississippi Queen, that's, to me, one of the greatest guitar tones of all times.
Right.
And it's a single P90. And you don't lose the balls. You don't lose the grit. But it does something different than a humbucker does. So I've really liked building with them, and some of the stuff I'm doing next will be more P90 things, along with, you know, good thing is with these models, we could put any pickups you want to them, and especially on the next one we're going to show you. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, on the next one we're going to use their Strat pickups, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a whole set of the Bootstrap. I don't remember the name of them, but they're the classic.
I think they're like Classic S or something. Something like that. But they're basically like, I believe they're like 59 kind of era, like Strat pickups, which I kind of like. You know, they're a little more spiky, but they still have the fluty thing too you can do.
So Ryan, there's a point where I built you the Ethermaster, which was, you know, basically a body around the neck.
Right.
At what point did you say, all right, I think this guy can actually build me a guitar and a whole neck and everything else where it can be something that I want?
Well, so honestly, it had nothing to do with you. It was like I was on this metal neck kick. They're not on screen, but I've got two metal neck bases, aluminum neck bases. Which are just like, they weigh like a ton. And they do have a sound, especially on bass guitar. They sound kind of amazing. They sound like a gong.
Yeah.
But on guitar, I wanted to have the one metal neck at least, one aluminum neck, because I love that Gang of Four kind of punk, spiky, Steve Albini thing.
It definitely has its own thing, for sure.
Yeah, there's a chime to that you're not getting out of any wood neck. But when I started, I think I played your brother's Futura, the first Futura that you finished.
Yeah.
And I went, man, this thing has so many different like tones and like, I played wood necks most of my life, but there was a resonance to that particular guitar. This one has it too, though. I mean, maybe it's the Spanish cedar. I don't know, but there's something to it, whereas like I could feel the notes resonating into the neck that I hadn't really noticed before on my other, more traditional guitars, and yeah, I just, I kind of got envious of it, and went, you know what, Randy, why don't you build me a Futura too? And then I decided to go crazy and go, well, I just want every model.
Yeah, so I guess...
So you actually finished Alice before you finished this one. I ordered this one first. But
I guess you did, yeah. So, yeah, because...
they were kind of... It was within maybe a few weeks of each other, but...
But yeah, and all this is within a span of... Again, guys, I've been in business for a year and a half. So, while making other people's things and doing a few repairs here and there to keep the lights on and that kind of stuff. I have a day gig. I won't get into it. We won't talk about it, but I have a day gig. So I'm lucky enough to say I have this vision and I have this idea that I want, and I'm going to kind of just do that. And, maybe it's the punk rock ethos in me. Maybe it's the $5 Fugazi show. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm going after, Yes. But they're not $5, but still.
But for a custom guitar, though, I'm on him all the time about charging too little. But get it while you can is what I would say, because I don't think he can afford to build guitars as cheap as he's building them, inexpensive as he's building them to be custom guitars. To give you an example, and I'm seriously not blowing smoke, or I have no investment in Randy's company other than I'm supporting him because I like it. But I got a Duesenberg while you were building, top of the line Duesenberg, Fullerton Elite, while you were building this one in Alice.
Yeah.
And I kind of did it as I wanted to have a 335 style guitar. You're not doing hollow body stuff, so it wasn't anything against that. It was just I wanted to have that guitar, but also I was like, okay, let's see what top of the line sounds like, and then let's see how it compares to what Randy ends up coming up with on the next two, which are fully your guitars, And I love that guitar. I love the Duesenberg. It plays fantastic.
It's a beautiful guitar.
It's great, and it's a rock and roll kind of crazy machine. But I like your guitars better. And they're half as much. I paid half as much for your guitars as I did for that Duesenberg was expensive as hell. Most expensive guitar I've ever bought. There's just something to it,
And I think for anybody, so I guess we never really mentioned this, but I'm King Electric Guitars is just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, just south of Atlanta, Georgia. Anybody who's local to me, you'll get the same kind of thing. And this isn't a sales ploy, but I really enjoy sitting down with the customer. I had a guy call me the other day and said, hey, well, if you end up building me a guitar, I hope to be able to meet you. And I said, well, here's the thing. If you're local to me, we got to have I want to sit down. I want to know who you are, what you do. I want to watch you play. I want to know as much about you as I possibly can before I even start building your guitar, because I'm trying to build, I'm not building furniture. I'm not building a guitar-shaped object. That was something that the guy I did an apprenticeship with told me. Anybody can build a guitar-shaped object. I'm trying to build what you're looking for. What can you not get from walking into your local store? And let's face it, nowadays you can walk into your local store and drop about $500-600 and get a really decent guitar.
Way better than we could get in the 90s,
God. Yeah, I was playing crap and it cost that kind of money. So yeah, I've got a couple of things against me in the fact that you can buy guitars cheaper, but I'm doing something different. You go to a big company and say, well, I tune weird and I want you to move that bridge back an eighth of an inch and see what they tell you. They're gonna laugh at you. So if you're,
or just this finish was my crazy idea.
Yeah, again.
We had red fabric. I was like, okay, cool, you're doing a raised panel guitar. Let's make the wings fabric, but let's go over that fabric with dark black candy so that...
In the camera right now, it looks black, but if Ryan kind of turns this guitar and you see, and if he gets it right up against the light a little bit, you'll see that it's actually, the wings are actually red. You can see right through to the red, and there's silver flat. This guitar's name is Lola. It was the whole design of the look of this guitar was cherry cola, hence the name Lola.
So part of it's the look, of course, but it's also the configuration and stuff. Stuff I would, like you said, you could go to the Big G and Big F custom shops and get them to build a guitar, but they're going to be pulling a body off of the stack and they're going to be pulling a neck off the stack, and they'll give you some customization options, but they're not going to build what I want. Granted, I'm a weirdo, but
that's the whole thing.
I know there's a lot of weirdos out there too, though.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. when Ryan gets a guitar built, I know now, okay, I know what the neck's gonna be like because I've built him one, and I can just about get it 90% there, and then I'll go, here, check this out. We'll have a couple meetings in between before it's done. But when it's time, all said and done, he comes in, he sits down, we intonate the guitar to him, because when I intonate it to me, it's different. He plays different. His accent's different. So those are things that, that's just that kind of extra thing I'm trying to do for everybody who's local to me. And if I could just build guitars for people that are just local to me, I would love it, to tell you the truth, but that's probably never gonna happen. I really enjoy meeting people and building relationships, and if I'm not your guy, cool, but I'll be glad to show you who your guy is. Maybe you can do the same thing for me, and that's what I'm after. So,
yeah, and like what Randy was saying about me coming in, like I'll be honest with you, I sanded this neck. I for 30 minutes sat there with a piece of like this one particularly, because
220 grit right here on his
and
hand.
it's crazy too. Like the Alice that you saw previously, it's just a slightly narrower neck than this. This has more of a Gibson-y kind of profile of the neck.
I think the nut width is wider.
It's a little bit wider.
Right.
So it's crazy what a difference that makes. And we ended up going with a much thinner neck than I thought. I mean, it's thinner than the Duesenberg even. And it just feels like it fits like a glove. And that would not have been the case had I not been there and gone, this feels a little chunky to me.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't at all. It's like I didn't really get a chance to. You finished this guitar, and I had like 2 days before our show.
Yeah.
And I played. We played like 6 songs with this guitar, and I did not have a problem. I practiced maybe 1 day with it, and it was great. But
yeah, the trial by fire thing's been kind of cool as well. Just to, well, it's done. Let's see what happens.
Right.
You
want to show off the Dolphin next?
Yeah. Here, I'll step up.
Let's talk about the Space Dolphin.
Okay.
And why is it called the Space Dolphin?
All right, so a little bit of history here. God, how many years was it that I called you and was like, hey, dude, I'm in a band and I want to get recorded?
I don't know. It's
been a long time.
A lot of history.
I reached out to Ryan at one point and said, hey, I heard you got a studio and you're doing good things, and I have this band called Red Rocket Deluxe, and we got a bunch of songs and we want to come in and record, and I'm looking for a new place to record. And came into the studio, the same studio we're sitting at now, and within minutes just felt at home. And somehow or another, Ryan and I realized we played in the same circle. How the hell we didn't know each other, we have no idea. So we recorded an album here. It's on Headphone Treats Records, and it's called High Atop the Mount. Red Rocket Deluxe, High Atop the Mount. And there was a song on there called Space Dolphins in Space.
In parentheses.
Right. Parentheses, in space. Why? Because nobody gives a damn about a space dolphin unless it's in space.
Yeah.
Right. Because, so anyway, years later, unfortunately, the band's no longer a band. Deaths and things and horribleness, life. And I started building guitars. So when I built the Taurus, that was kind of a space theme. And then the Futura was named after my father's car, but again, it felt very late 50s, early 60s space theme. So I wanted another space theme, and I have a love for some of the crazy, wacky 1960s Japanese guitars.
Yeah,
and
we talked about that forever. Like both of us love. All of these crazy, I'll say it wrong, but Tiesco or Taisco?
Tiesco, whatever. Yeah, however you know, Taisco.
I always loved them, even though I knew they were kind of inexpensive, cheap, whatever you want to call them, guitars. But man, some of them sound great.
Yeah, some of the harmonies, some of the so a lot of that kind of stuff. A lot of the stuff that was made in the Matsumoku plant in Japan, and there's several that are just incredible. I mean, the guitar I learned how to play on was a Japanese copy of a Martin that my dad bought the day John F. Kennedy was shot. So,
Right.
you know, there's that kind of stuff. So we were like sending pictures back of, dude, check out this one, like this part of this body. It's like
Right.
that big. And like, ooh, look at this. So once all that stuff started happening, we were just shooting ideas back and forth. And this is an extremely rough, this is like what it looks like when I'm just milling things out. But we come up with a guitar called the Space Dolphin, which is this guy. Now, what am I looking at? Where's the camera? There you go. So what this is it's my take on, well, I should say our take on an early 60s Japanese guitar. It's got some funky stuff going on to it, and it's offset, and it's got this big crazy dolphin hump or whatever you want to call. And
It's a combination of a bunch of different things.
it really is. And then, some of this we just kind of freehanded out and, just taking sketches of stuff and just playing around till we got it right.
It's like
And
nice little bevel
yeah,
at the bottom.
there's that cove there, which also matches the cove of all my headstocks that I make. So this guitar here is actually Ryan's next guitar. I don't have his neck with me, but this will have three
Here, hold it more this way.
3 bootstrap Strat style pickups.
Yeah, it's like what we're doing. I mean, if you're a Strat person, you'll notice that this is backwards.
Yep.
Why do you think that is? It's because it's Jimi Hendrix guitar. So it's
Wow.
like, we wanted to do a kind of like a Jimi Hendrix Strat. One of the things Randy's doing for me, and he's gonna hate me for it, but so it's a Strat, kinda. It's a Jimmy upside down Strat from the pickups point of view, but there's going to be a volume on every pickup.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, so
Tone only on the bridge, and a volume on every pickup, and then with a 10-way switch, freeway switch, so that you have all your typical Strat tones, but you can also do humbucking kind of Strat stuff too, series, parallel, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be crazy configurable. But the multiple volumes, I mean, I'm a bit of a Peter Frampton fan. Not ashamed to say it.
I thought you just made fun of him earlier.
I did make fun of him because he's small. He's teeny tiny. His hands wouldn't fit around this guitar. But he rolls that middle pickup in.
Right.
To get those tones on a lot of this stuff. And I'm more of a fan of like the Humble Pie era, but
Right.
like those tones are incredible. And like the only way you could do that, he has his custom wired as a Gibson style, like with the 2 tones, 2 volumes, and he's got his, so the middle pickup and tone is all on one volume with no switch, and the switch is on the other.
Always on, it just rolls it on.
Right, and this will be similar in that you could completely control those 3 independent volumes independently, and
with all the switching ideas.
with all the switching,
it's going to be like.
So it's going to be crazy. Probably there'll be, and I think we were wiring it also to where the pickup normally that's right by the bridge, that you ride with your finger, that's going to be that middle pickup.
Right.
So I can roll it into any of the settings.
Yeah, so right here, that will be his middle pickup. And then it's volume, tone.
Right.
And then volume, tone up here.
Right.
Jack down here, so it's not in the way anywhere. So there,
And then the switch up here, and the neck more like a jazz
switches up here. Right.
Like, I'm very used to that sort of movement of grabbing.
Although if anybody else wanted it, it could easily be here.
Right.
And we could put a volume here. So you have, if I were to take this all off, you have a cavity that goes all the way under this. Yeah. And so basically this whole thing is a cavity.
You can even do like a Gretsch master volume if you wanted.
It's swimming pool route kind of thing. So again, you could put a volume here, and there's so many different things we could do on this. Yeah. So that was the whole purpose is, again, let's build a platform that looks cooler than hell, that's going to be cool, that we can do a million different things on, so I can try to please as many people's needs as I can. So, yeah. Space Dolphin. This one's not in space. This is just the Space Dolphin. Yeah.
In space.
So it could be in space, I guess. Yeah. So we'll one day soon you'll hear this guy, And this will be, this is number 4 for Ryan of, it keeps going. Well,
who knows?
Yeah. So guys, again, I'm Randy from King Electric Guitars. My good friend Ryan here. You can find me at kingelectricguitars.com. You can find me at King Electric Guitars on anything other than Z or whatever that megalomaniac calls it now. You can reach me there. You can email me at kingelectricguitars@gmail.com. Yeah, so reach out. I'd love to talk. If you want to talk, you want to ask some questions, you want whatever. Let's do something cool. Let's build you the guitar that you wish you could find. If it's one of my platforms and it's things that that I will want to do, then yeah, let's talk about it. That's my whole purpose in doing this, and I hope to hear something soon from you guys. And it's been fun. Also, listen out for Ryan and I. We have a podcast that we are about to start filming in about, 37 seconds.
Yeah.
It's called Fretful Dreams. It's 2 guys that really love guitars and guitar stuff and the life that you build once you become obsessed with guitars and all that stuff. And that's about to happen soon. So
guitar nerdery
at its finest.